I still remember that night vividly, like a scar etched into my memory. The phone rang just past midnight. It was my son Daniel, 32 years old, a commercial pilot, and the pride of my life. He almost never called me during flights, so when I saw his name flash on my phone, my heart skipped. I answered immediately. "Mom." His voice trembled. Not the calm, steady voice I knew from the cockpit. This was the voice of a man shaken to his core. "Daniel, what's wrong?" I asked, already bracing for bad news. There was a long pause, and then he whispered the words that froze me where I stood. "Impossible. She's on my flight, not at home." For a second, I didn't understand. "Who, Daniel? Who are you talking about?" He swallowed hard, his breath uneven. "Mom. I just saw Emma. She's sitting in seat 14C. But, she's supposed to be in her apartment, right? You said you had dinner with her tonight. You said she was home." Emma. My daughter. His younger sister. My sweet, stubborn 27-year-old who had been living with me ever since her fiancé left her heartbroken last year. We'd had dinner together just hours ago, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and her favorite apple pie. I even hugged her goodnight before I went upstairs. "Daniel," I said carefully, "I just saw Emma a couple of hours ago. She's asleep upstairs in her room right now. It's not possible she's on your flight." There was silence. I could hear static from the cockpit, the faint murmur of his co-pilot. Then Daniel's voice again, shaken. "Mom, I swear. I saw her. Same face. Same hair. She even looked right at me. She smiled." My knees buckled, and I sank into the kitchen chair. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Was this some kind of mistake? A cruel joke of the imagination? Or something far darker? "Listen to me," I said, forcing calm into my voice. "Maybe it's someone who just looks like her. People have doubles all the time." "Are you sure?" Daniel's answer came quickly, firm and terrified. "No, Mum. I know my sister. I've known her my whole life. That was Emma. But, if she's home with you, then who is on my plane?" I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at Emma's door across the hallway. I wanted to check on her, to prove to myself that my son was mistaken. But a strange fear held me back. What if I opened the door and found her gone? Or worse, what if I found something that looked like Emma, but wasn't? The hours crawled until dawn. At 6, I finally gathered the courage, walked down the hall, and opened her door. The room was empty. The bed neatly made. No sign she had ever slept there. My blood ran cold. I rushed through the house, calling her name, my voice breaking. No answer. Her phone sat on the nightstand, dead battery. Her purse was gone. The front door, unlocked. Panic gripped me. My son had seen her on his flight. But how? Why? And if she wasn't home, where had she gone after dinner? The next call from Daniel came at 7:15 a.m., just as his plane landed in Denver. His words made my hands shake so badly I almost dropped the phone. "Mom, she wasn't just on the plane. She spoke to me. She said, 'Don't trust them.' And then she vanished." Daniel's words echoed in my mind like a haunting refrain, "Don't trust them." I gripped the phone tighter. "Vanished? What do you mean vanished?" I demanded, my voice quivering. "She was there, Mom," Daniel said, his tone raw. I walked down the aisle. She looked straight into my eyes, leaned close, and whispered those words. Then, I blinked. The seat was empty. No one else saw her. The passenger manifest doesn't even list a 14C. That row wasn't assigned. I felt my stomach twist. "Daniel, this doesn't make sense. You're exhausted. Maybe you imagined." "Mom," he cut me off sharply, "I didn't imagine her. I felt her hand brush mine. I smelled her perfume. She was real. And if she wasn't, then something terrifying is happening." The weight of his conviction pressed down on me. My daughter was gone from her bed, missing from home, and yet my son swore he had seen her midair on a flight where she couldn't possibly be. I grabbed my car keys, heart pounding. I couldn't sit still another second. I drove straight to Emma's best friend, Lily's, apartment. If Emma had left home, maybe she'd gone there. Lily opened the door, sleepy-eyed, her hair a mess. Mrs. Collins? What's wrong? Emma. Is she here? I asked desperately. Lily blinked. Emma? No, she told me she was staying in last night. Why? She's gone, I whispered. And Daniel swears he saw her on his flight. Lily's face went pale. That's impossible. That word again. Impossible. And yet it kept happening. I went to the police, reported her missing. They listened politely, wrote down details, but when I mentioned Daniel's sighting on the flight, their expressions shifted. Skepticism. Thinly veiled pity. Ma'am, the officer said, maybe she just needed space. Adults leave home all the time. Give it a day or two. A day or two. My son had seen her vanish. Something wasn't right, and waiting felt like a death sentence. That evening, Daniel came home from his layover, pale and restless. He hadn't slept. He barely touched his food. His hands trembled as he recounted the moment again, every detail etched in his mind. She didn't just whisper, Mom, he said finally, voice hoarse. She looked terrified. Like she was warning me. Don't trust them. Who is them? What does it mean? Before I could answer, a knock came at the door. A sharp, deliberate knock. Mij had skipped. I opened it to find a man in a dark suit and tie, crisp and expressionless. His ID badge read Federal Aviation Authority. Mrs. Collins, he asked. His voice was calm, almost rehearsed. Yes. I need to speak with you and your son. Regarding a disturbance reported on Flight 327 this morning. Daniel and I exchanged a look. Disturbance. That was their word for it. The man stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. He placed a folder on the table, slid it open. Inside were grainy black and white photos, security stills from the plane. Mij briscooked. One image showed Daniel walking down the aisle. Another, Daniel leaning toward an empty seat, speaking to no one. A third, him reaching out, as if holding an invisible hand. But there was no Emma. Not even a blur. Mr. Collins, the agent said flatly, do you understand why this concerns us? You were observed talking to nothing. Several passengers filed reports. They thought you were unwell. Daniel's jaw tightened. I don't care what the photos show. She was there. The agent's eyes flicked toward me. And you, Maem? Do you also claim your daughter was on that flight? Hésitated. The truth burned inside me, but fear sealed my lips. If I told him Emma had vanished from home, if I admitted Daniel wasn't alone in his belief, what would they do? Lock him away? Dismiss us as crazy? Instead, I said softly, I just want my daughter back. The agent closed the folder, his face unreadable. Then I suggest you stop chasing shadows. Sometimes the mind plays tricks under stress. Good day. He left without another word. As the door clicked shut, Daniel slammed his fist on the table. He knows something, Mom. Why else would they come here? They're hiding the truth. I didn't answer. But deep down, I feared he was right. That night, I couldn't sleep again. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text message. Unknown number. My heart raced as I opened it. 3 words. 3 chilling words that stole the air from my lungs. Don't trust them. My hands trembled as I stared at the glowing phone screen. Don't trust them. The same words Daniel swore Emma had whispered to him on the flight. I ran into Daniel's room, shaking him awake. Look. I shoved the phone in front of his eyes. He blinked, groggy, then read the message. His face drained of color. Mom, that's her. That's Emma. She's reaching out to us. But how? He whispered. If she's missing, where is she sending this from? And why doesn't she just call? Daniel didn't answer. He grabbed his laptop, fingers flying across the keys as he traced the number. Within minutes, his face tightened. It's bouncing off servers. Masked. Whoever's sending this doesn't want to be found easily. Achille spread trumeux. Then it's not Emma? No, he said, jaw clenched. It is her. But someone or something is keeping her from speaking freely. The next day, strange things began happening. My car alarm went off repeatedly, though no one was near it. A black SUV sat parked across from our house for hours, engine idling. And every time I looked out the window, I could swear I saw a figure watching. That evening, Daniel got another message. This time longer. I'm not safe. They took me after dinner. Flight was never real. Don't tell police. Trust only each other. My knees nearly buckled. Taken? After dinner? That meant she never made it to bed at all. Someone had been in our house that night, while I was upstairs. Daniel clenched his fists. She's alive. But she's being moved. And whoever those men are, they don't want the truth coming out. We decided not to call the police again. Emma had warned us. Instead, we followed the only lead we had, the texts. The number pinged once near an abandoned airfield 40 miles out of town. We drove in silence, every mile evieden the last. By the time we reached the cracked tarmac, night had fallen. The hangars stood like dark giants, looming and hollow. Daniel killed the engine. Stay close, he whispered. We crept inside one of the hangars, flashlights cutting through the darkness. The air was thick with dust. And then, I froze. In the middle of the floor sat an airplane seat. Just one. Bolted to the ground. Seat 14C. My briscoqued. Daniel's flashlight shook in his hand. This is what I saw, he stammered. This exact seat. She was sitting right here. Before I could respond, a voice rang out behind us. You shouldn't be here. We spun around. The man from the FAA stood in the doorway, shadowed by two others in black. His face was still blank, but now his eyes glinted with something colder. Where's my doctor? I cried. He didn't flinch. She doesn't belong to you anymore. She was chosen. Chosen. Daniel stepped forward, fury in his voice. For what? The man's lips curled into the faintest smile. To cross over. Some people see beyond what's real. Your sister, she's one of them. That's why you saw her when no one else did. He shook my head violently. No. She's just a girl. Bring her back. She's not just a girl, he said softly. She's the key. And soon, you'll understand. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. Another message flashed across the screen. But this time it wasn't 3 words. It was a full sentence, desperate and urgent. Mom, Daniel RUN. Without thinking, Daniel grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the side exit. The men shouted, footsteps pounding behind us. We tore across the tarmac, hearts hammering, until a light burst across the darkness. A car screeched to a stop in front of us. The passenger door flew open. And there, sitting in the front seat, was Emma. Her face was pale, her eyes wide, but it was her. Real. Alive. Get in, she screamed. We didn't hesitate. Daniel shoved me inside, then dove after me. Emma slammed the accelerator, the tears crashing as we sped away into the night. Emma. I gasped, clutching her arm. What is happening? Who are they? Her knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. They're not government. They're not even fully human. They watch flights. They take people who can see beyond. That's why Daniel saw me when no one else did. Because he's like me. And now, they'll never stop hunting us. Daniel's eyes widened. Like you? What do you mean? Emma looked at both of us, her voice breaking. I can see through worlds. I can be in 2 places at once. That's why you saw me on your flight, Daniel. I wasn't supposed to show myself, but I had to warn you. Now they know you can see too. Silence fell heavy in the car. The road stretched endlessly ahead, the night swallowing us whole. And in that moment, I realized life would never return to normal. My daughter was marked, my son was cursed with the same sight, and those men, whatever they truly were, would keep coming. I held their hands tightly, my heart torn between terror and fierce love. Whatever awaited us, we'd face it together. Because one truth rend loudeden all the fear, loudeden the mystery, loudeden the impossible itself. Family is worth running for. And worth fighting for. Always.